Good evening, folks. We're going to just stand by a few more minutes. We have other platforms where I see a lot of people starting to populate. So if you could just bear with us a few minutes, we'll get right to the program. It's a very, very, very important topic. I know extremely urgent importance to the people in Canada, but very important to those of us in the United States and around the free world. So I'm going to wait another minute and then we're going to get right to the point. And I'm believing that you will be happy as to what you're going to hear tonight, because we intend to take some action. And it's a strategic action. It's something that was done once before here in the United States with another country years ago, and it worked very well. So, but I'll get to that point in a minute. I just hope and pray all of you are well. Days are pretty tough, right? We're going through valleys and difficulties, but we're doing this together. I've always said that there's a God above, and we're going to make sure that we never forget that. All right, so 1 minute to go, folks, and then we're going to get started and dig right into what we're here for tonight. And thank you all from Canada, of course, and we've got a good number of people here on Facebook from the USA, but here on Rumble and YouTube, a load of Americans on our Rumble account also. So we're moving along rather nicely, are we not? All right, folks, we're going to get right to it. So for those of you who don't know me, and I'm sure many of you do, I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. I'm President and CEO of Campaign4America. We're here tonight to address what has happened in Canada within the past 48 hours. Last night, my wife and I, as many of you know, was at a GOP, a Republican event, speaking to the audience, packed house, standing room only. We were speaking to the audience about two topics. Topic one was the state of affairs here in the United States with regard to the Republican Party. But topic two, which truly caught their attention, was the topic of what's going on in Canada with special focus on Bill C-11. As I'm speaking, unbeknown to me, I got a staff that's with me and keeps an eye on things. They're contacting me saying we're getting a lot of emails, a lot of messages from Canadian people that Bill C-11 has been passed. And sure enough, after our meeting, we got together, we talked, and we said we're going to have to move on helping the Canadian people and helping all of us here in the United States and around the world with regard to freedom and liberty rather quickly. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to be taking some action, and I want to share that with you this evening. To begin with, folks, for those who do not know about Bill C-11, I'm going to read something to you. And this is what C-11 kind of summarizes of what it's all about. Bill C-11, also known as the Online Streaming Act, creates a framework to regulate digital streaming platforms. Now, they named the platforms. They named them. But what they don't name are other targets. Targets not just like Campaign4America, but targets like One America News, targets like Fox News, targets like Newsmax, and on and on and on. Now, they are going to say, well, we didn't name them because they're not in the mix. Well, when you talk about online streaming and making sure that, listen to this, folks, that they have to meet a requirement to do what? To contribute to the creation and promotion of Canadian content. Now, folks, read that as anybody who's streaming online into Canada or out of Canada, if they don't meet the approval of the government, well, they're going to be cut off the air. I mean, there's no other way, folks, no other way to interpret that. So what we did was seize the opportunity today, if you will. And I know just based on the emails I'm getting now from a lot of Americans, I shared that with a major news outlet tonight. And I was on the air at 6:30, One America News. I was on the air at 6:30 p.m. tonight here in the United States. And we're going to get the clip and we're going to post it. And I got to tell you, if Trudeau doesn't take us off the air or had any plans to take us off the air here now, well, I'm sure after he sees what I said about him and about that parliament, they're no doubt are going to try to pull us off the air. You want to know why? Because we are not complying with his ridiculous communist manifesto, and I said this on the air also, that has government control over the things we say and the things that he wants us to hear. Mr. Trudeau, that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. I mean, you could do what you want in your country. You got great people there who are going to get a lot of support, not only from those of us in the United States, but from freedom-loving people around the world. So that's what C11 is all about. But my statement tonight regarding the 21st century invisible Berlin Wall, and that's what I said on the air tonight here in the United States. Invisible Berlin Wall, known as C11, is being constructed right now as we are speaking. It is being constructed by the Canadian government, being led by Justin Trudeau. Now, we're going to take the following actions, or shall I say, we're going to use the following method to address what many of us in America see as a threat to the cause of freedom and liberty, not only to the people of Canada, but now to the people of the United States, since streaming is going to go from the United States into Canada and now be censored. So now you're talking about our rights here in America. You're talking about our civil rights, and you're talking about, in my view, national security. But it's also talking about the rights of people around the world that may want to communicate with their friends, neighbors, children, whatever, in Canada. The only place on earth right now that at least is a major country that I know this kind of nonsense is going on is China, communist China. But anyway, I had the opportunity to share this on the air tonight, and I've got to tell you, a lot of people who responded after I was on the air had no idea, folks, no idea what was going on in your country. And yeah, we get the word out, but obviously it takes a lot of time. But to me, it's taken too much time. So we had to find a way that we could get the media and the United States Congress, how we can catch their attention rather quickly. So anyway, I made some points. Number one, throughout history, we, the United States of America, we have received distress calls from citizens all over the world who have lived in communist countries. We have. We've received distress calls from the residents of the former Soviet Union, North Korea, communist China, and other nations where the freedom and liberty of the people are threatened by governments that have been compromised by the Communist Party. We in the United States see, and now we're taking action against those in our government who are being compromised by the Chinese Communist Party. And it's working. We're finally the courts, finally the Congress, finally we're beginning to get a lot of traction here, and we are taking action. Laws have been passed to ensure that the Chinese Communist Party can buy no more land in the United States, no more corporations. We got the Chinese police departments kicked out by the seat of their pants, and on and on and on. And I bring that up to you because it works, folks. It works when you begin to share with people what is going on in their country. But now we need to share with the American people what's going on in Canada. So anyway, as the leader of the free world, and that's who we are, who we say we are, I believe we are. So as the leader of the free world, we have always taken the lead to voice our concerns to these governments being influenced or controlled by communists. We always did that. As Americans, we're duty-bound and we're obligated to help people worldwide in their fight for the cause of freedom and liberty, especially those who have sent us an SOS distress call. And now I'm going to talk about Canada. And now I'm going to share with you what we intend to do. And this, folks, please bear with me. This isn't how we, because we know how our Congress works, how our elected officials work, we know how the media works. We have to find a way to get their attention. And we believe that we have found a way. Many of us in America, as I said, have received distress calls from a lot of people in countries around the world. But now we're receiving an incredible number of distress calls, and I'm saying emails, etc., from the citizens of Canada because they see their government being slowly and methodically coming under the influence of a communist ideology that is chipping away at their freedoms, liberties, and individual rights. We in the United States should not tolerate that. We should not allow it to happen because that is on our northern border, and that could very well threaten the national security of the United States of America if that government in Canada decides to play ball with President Xi of Communist China. And that's the message we're going to get out to Americans all over this country. As recently as last night, and this is what triggered me, folks. As recently as last night, I've been asked by many people this one question. You speak to us about Canada, Lieutenant. We don't know how bad it is. How bad is it? Well, I wanted to send them an answer. I want to send them an answer, the Congress an answer, the media an answer in this country in a big way, in a real big way, folks. We want to send it in a way that no one in our Congress and no media outlet in America will ignore what we are going to give them. And that is the SOS that we're receiving from our northern neighbors. So here's what we're going to ask you to do. Number one, we know that people are afraid. They're concerned that if they put their name on something, if they write a letter with a return address, if they sign a petition, that the government will find out and they're going to come after you. I understand it. I understand it. But we're going to ask you to do something we know and we truly believe will work. And I'm going to show you something, folks. I'm going to show you an envelope, okay? And just bear with me, and I think you'll get what we're driving at here. So I'm going to be asking millions of Canadians, not thousands, but millions of Canadians who are in distress over their government actions to take an envelope this size and to put on that envelope, all right? And I'm going to show you exactly, let me just get to where I want to be here, to put this SOS from Canada to the United States. We don't want your name. I don't want checks. I don't want money. I don't want anything that can get back to you. All right. No return address. Stick it in an envelope this size. Address it to Campaign4America. We'll post the address in a minute and get it to us. Now, what will that do? Folks, we intend to take, if not 1 million, 100,000, whatever it takes, we intend to hand deliver stacks and stacks and stacks of letters from Canada to the United States Capitol and to the media outlets. Now, one might say, well, if there's no identifier in there, how are they going to know they're from Canada? Because you see, folks, as you know, here, it'll be postmarked Canada. So unless, they're blind, they're going to see that these letters, this SOS, international call for assistance and help, they will know they're from Canada. Now, you think about this. You know, and I know that politicians don't like the masses addressing an issue. But what do you think? What do you think the media in this country is going to do when we, and I prayerfully and hopefully pray we're successful with this, when we have, let's say, 200,000 letters from the citizens of Canada, or we have 1 million? I think high. I'm optimistic. I have 1 million letters from people in another country looking for help to secure their freedom and liberty. And those of you in the United States watching and around the world, join us. Join us. Put SOS from Canada to the United States. You could put SOS from your nation in support of Canadians to the United States. This is the kind of stuff that'll rock them. It's done, folks. It's done very, very methodically. And we do it because we know people, again, won't sign petitions. All right. They're fearful of the government coming after them. I get it. I absolutely get it. But like I said, we don't want checks. We don't want money. We don't want anything but that SOS call, because it is recognized as an international distress signal. And I've got to tell you, folks, I've been involved in politics a long time. If somebody dropped 200,000 to maybe 1 million letters off at my office or in front of the Capitol, well, that is going to draw the attention of the media, and that is going to draw the attention of those lawmakers in this country. Then they will take it very, very seriously. We're meeting with some congressional people, as I told you, in the near future, and we've got the attention of some of the press. But after last night, talking to people at this GOP event, which, by the way, we're going to be doing this hopefully around the country. We've got more meetings coming up. But the Canadian government has decided to move this rather quickly, maybe because they realize that there's going to be just not a backlash from American leadership, which I hope will happen, but from around the world. I mean, they have, look, I know that if Trudeau probably doesn't watch this, of course not, but his operatives do, his supporters do. I get the hate mail and this kind of mail and that mail. But if you're watching, you've got to understand what you did. What you did was ignite a fire, not across your own country, but around the world. You've awakened. You've done us a favor. You've awakened the fact that freedom and liberty is under fire. It is under fire. And you've awakened the good patriots of every country, of every person, of every patriot who loves freedom and liberty. You've done a good thing for us. That was the unintended consequence. I know you didn't do that purposely. And you've got to know that where you're going to end up. You're going to end up in the ash bin of history. We will always, always win. But for the first time, though, at least in my lifetime, and I think in history, Canada and the United States are really under attack by the Chinese Communist Party. And no one's going to convince me different. Religion under attack. The right to bear arms under attack. Now, the right to free speech? Are you kidding me? It's a pattern that we all see, but it's a pattern that we need to take action on in a peaceful manner. It's time, folks. It's time for the whispers for help to become loud and clear voices for freedom. And that's what this will be, a loud, clear voice for freedom. The action that we're taking, believe me, folks, it's going to be peaceful, which they don't want. You see, we could have we've had million-man marches in the United States. We've had marches here, marches there. Well, you're always going to get agitators. And once you get an agitator, what's going to happen at a rally? The media and all the attention is going to go to the agitators. They're going to take the narrative. They're going to take the story. And the purpose of the rally dies on the last page of the newspaper or news program. But there's nothing they could do with this. This is peaceful. It's within the laws of the United States of America. And Mr. Trudeau and that Parliament, if some of you are watching, I don't want to hear about your laws. I'm not standing on your soil. And I've got to tell you something. I'm standing on the soil of a free country that loves the people of Canada and will help them in protecting their freedom and liberty. And yeah, I know I can't get directly involved in your Parliament's procedures, etc. And I would never intend to do that. It's up to the Canadian people to do that. But I could get involved right here in the United States of America and be a strong voice for freedom and liberty worldwide. And by the way, just so you know, Mr. Trudeau and others who support him, I'm not the only one. I'm the only one on the air doing this consistently for 2 years. But there are a lot of Americans out there who have programs probably in this community, that community. There are speakers out there who are Canadian born, who are here and love their country. They're out there speaking too. You may not know this, Mr. Trudeau and members of the Parliament, but New Jersey, we get thousands and thousands and thousands of Canadians coming to the United States on vacation, on holiday. And because of your ridiculous, asinine laws, that's going to hurt our economy. We're urging our country right now, and I hope this is the month coming May, that we're going to drop those ridiculous vaccine mandates to allow the Canadians to cross the border. That's something we're working on. But C-11, folks, is something that's dangerous, in my view, to freedom of speech. The action we're taking is necessary to protect our neighbors from who? From a communist takeover. And that's no exaggeration, because we in America are facing the same problems. And I thank God Almighty that we're challenging and we're winning and we're succeeding. But the need to protect our countries from a communist takeover is important. It happened before, folks. And I've said it on our broadcast over and over again. It happened in the 50s and the 60s when the Soviet Communist Party, boy, did they get into our country. Began in Hollywood. Got in Hollywood, got into unions, got into the seats of politicians, educational institutions, on and on and on. They got in there. But as I said, it took the guy behind me right here to lead the charge. And we're going to lead the charge, folks, at least here in America. And we're going to let that Parliament and we're going to let that Prime Minister know that he can maybe for a while get away with the things he's getting away with in his country, because he happens to be the king, right? He happens to be the king, so he thinks. But as I said the other night even at a meeting, that kings like him who get cozy with the Communist Party influencers, they do get a throne. They get a throne at the end of the journey. Their throne is inside the gate of hell, believe me, because there's only one king, and that king is sitting in the heavens above. But that king sitting in the heavens above has you all and me and others, millions of us. There are millions of us to carry on the fight for freedom and liberty, which was a gift from God. So Mr. Trudeau and the Canadian Parliament, they have voiced their opinions and their views by their actions around the world, right? So they wanted us to hear from them, and we did. But I got to tell you, folks, they have sold their souls, in my view, as well as some in our country, leaders, to the Communist Party. It's obvious to us. But now that we've heard from you, you're going to hear from us. You're going to hear from us, and you're going to see how a free, intelligent, articulate citizenry in America, in Canada, and other places around the world where people are watching tonight, you're going to see how we can work together in a peaceful manner within the framework of the laws that were created to do what? The framework of the laws that were created to protect freedom and liberty, not to take it from us. And you're going to see that over, hopefully, the next few months, sooner rather than later, take root. So, folks, that's how we're going to do it. That is how we're going to do it. I don't know how long they're going to allow us to broadcast, but we're prepared. We're prepared, but we're going to do everything we could to continue broadcasting. If it's not on Facebook or Twitter, we've got Rumble, we've got other things we're going to use. But another unintended consequence, could you believe this? Our allies are the streaming platforms like Facebook, like Rumble, like YouTube. Our allies are these big tech people. They're all in. They're all in fighting for the freedom and liberty to broadcast the content they want. Not necessarily for the cause of freedom and liberty, but for the cause of dollars and cents, profit. That's fine. I don't care what they want. You make $1 million, good for you. But we are not going to put a price on our freedom and liberty. We're not going to do that. They could, and as long as they're going to help us, that's fine. So the fact of the matter is, all of these forces are coming together because there's a lot at stake. Now it's up to us. It's up to us. I pray day and night, God, how are we gonna expedite this? How are we gonna deal with it? God knows what's up their sleeves, what's next. Pray for wisdom and understanding. I lost a lot of sleep last night, folks. I really did, a lot, because of the concern over the letters, and within 24 hours, a few hundred emails and messages from people in Canada and some from the United States, a lot more coming, truly passionate and about the love they have for their country. And how could we in America sit back when we get our nose involved in other countries around the world? How can we sit back when we've got our eyes on what we show, and rightfully so, and I said this on the air tonight, on the southern border that's truly endangering the lives of Americans down there? So how do we sit back and allow the greatest threat we have to this country, the Chinese Communist Party, influence the Canadian government to a point when our national security could be in danger? How do we sit back and watch? We're not going to sit back. We're not going to be spectators. We're going to be participants in a very peaceful, methodical way of dealing with this. As I shared with some of the media today, the Ohio State Legislature, you all know that already, introduced a resolution to put that government up there, that parliament up there on the religious watch list. That's just the beginning. There are other things that I believe will actually unfold and happen if we can deliver a few 100,000 letters. I mean, we're not going to mail them to them. I'm going to go down with a team, and we're going to go to Washington, D.C. And what I want to do is I envision getting sacks and sacks and sacks of mail putting them on the steps of the U.S. Capitol and letting the press go to town. Letting them go to town. Because that's what it's all about. That's what they want. They want the sound bites. They want the physical. They want the physical scene of action. Yes, we meet with people. We talk to people. We thinking we're making some headway, but that's not enough. Not enough, folks. I know what they're looking for. I'm going to hand it to them. We're going to do it peacefully within the framework of the law. And that sickens. Every time I say we're going to do it peacefully in the framework of the law, that absolutely sickens the opposition. Because the last thing on earth they want to see is thousands, maybe 1 million people coming together and silently doing this, folks. Doing this. Do you hear it? Do you hear it? Look. Silently doing that. There's nothing they can do about it. So, folks, that's where we're at. So we're going to begin to take this action. There are people who have emailed me, or at least text me and asked what they can do from different countries. And so here's the plan. Those of you in Canada, the United States, and around the world, please start mailing tomorrow if you could, because I'm anticipating we're going to get a response. I've talked to, a big one where we can actually show physically the outcry of people who need our help, the leader of the free world, for goodness sakes, our neighbors, our allies. My goodness, Canadian soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines died next to our troops in war. They shed blood to help us for freedom and liberty. The least we can do is raise the standard here on their behalf. On their behalf. That flag. So here's what we do, folks. Here's the address. All right. Campaign4America, P.O. Box 225, Nutley, New Jersey, 07110. Now, when we go off the air, this will be posted. All right. You could always go to our website if you lose the address. No money, no checks. I don't want any of that. All I want is this. I think it comes out backwards when you see it. All right. SOS from Canada to the United States. I wonder if I turn that around. Yeah, look at that. Turn it around. You get to see it a little better, right? All right. SOS from Canada to the United States. That's it. No return address. Just send it. Just send it. We'll get it. And we're going to stick it in a big sack. Okay, folks? And what we're going to do is deliver it to the people we know. To the people we know will have no choice but to take action. In the meantime, you could do one other thing. Very important. Again, I'm going to sicken those in opposition to what we're doing. I'm going to ask you to take some time and to pray. Beginning May, I believe it's May 4th. We're going to be on the air May 4th, of course, is National Prayer Day, National Prayer Week here in the United States. I don't think it's a coincidence that this comes up now during that time when we need to pray. Prayer is the most powerful weapon we have against these tyrants, the most powerful weapon that they cannot defeat. But we must put our faith and our prayers to work. The Bible says faith without works is dead. Well, now's our time to go to work. We'll carry the load, but I need you to give us the load. I got a team ready. We're going to get some young, tough men and tough women that got a good strength. And I want to see them carry those big sacks of mail from the post office to our holding area, if you will. And then we're going to rent some trucks if we have to. And we're going to put them on trucks. And when we got enough letters that we can physically show the world on the steps of the United States Capitol that this contained here are the cries of the people of Canada, but of the strength that they have, the will they have for what? Not for personal gain, not for financial gain, but for freedom and liberty. That's how we do it in the 21st century. And folks, I'll tell you what, they lose and we're going to win. This weekend, take some time, write that short letter, and keep in mind 3 words as you're writing the letter, as you're finishing the letter, as you're mailing the letter. Let freedom ring. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. I know it was quick, a Friday night meeting. I didn't give you much time to populate or to come on, enough time notice, but this urgency of this is very, very important. So thank you all. God bless you. You'll be hearing from us soon. And look, if things happen where we're not on the air, I don't think that's going to happen soon. But in the event it does happen, we'll find a way to get to you. Okay, we will. But in the meantime, you need to know that this is what we're doing now. And we're not going to give up. I promised you when we started this broadcast a couple of years ago, we are not going to give up. We don't do that. We don't do that. We fight the good fight of faith. Thank you all. I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. God bless you, and God bless Canada and the United States of America, and let freedom ring.